All right, well, Aliyah Boston, thank you so much for making the long trek to WTHR here, downtown Indianapolis, going into year 3 for you here in the WNBA. Kind of crazy. Is that crazy?
It's kind of crazy to think how fast time is going. I was actually just saying that, like, I can't believe this is my 3rd year.
Did Aliyah Boston just indirectly point at her former coach while applauding her current one, Stephanie White, in a recent interview? Boston couldn't stop praising White's clear communication and smart in-game decisions, 2 things that many felt were lacking during Christie Sides' time last season.
Like, okay, now we come out, we have to be ready to compete, but we also know that, listen, if things aren't going our way, then we have a coach at the helm who knows how to adjust.
Boston reflected on her past matchups against Stephanie White's Connecticut Sun, explaining how White's quick decisions during games made things tough and had the Fever struggling to keep up. Now that White is coaching Indiana, Boston's enthusiasm is clear. Her words showed just how much of a difference this coaching change could make for Caitlin Clark and the whole team. If you're feeling the hype, drop A, B, and CC in the comments below. Let's get it.
Well, how was the offseason for you? There's a lot going on with the team, a lot going on with the WNBA, women's sports in general. How was the offseason for you?
Offseason was great. I was able to participate in Unrivaled, so I was super excited about that. And kind of just looking at our team in general, all the changes we've made. It has been a lot. It's been super fast, but I think they've all just been super exciting moves for us. And I'm excited to get the season started.
As soon as Aliyah Boston began discussing the Fever's offseason moves, her face instantly lit up. She wasn't just pleased, she was genuinely overjoyed with what the front office had pulled off. Boston described the new additions as super exciting, and the excitement on her face said it all. It was a level of energy and joy we rarely saw during the team's tough times last season.
Yeah, you mentioned it right there. It felt like there was 1 week, maybe a month, maybe more ago, that it was just like bang, bang, bang. Someone else new coming to the team via trade, via free agency. All really valuable pieces. Winning experience with those additions as well. What do you make of the newcomers on this team and how everyone will gel together after such a promising year last year for you guys?
Boston spoke honestly about what the new players bring to Indiana. The arrival of seasoned talent completely shifts the dynamic of this young Fever squad. Just think, last season, the team leaned heavily on young players like herself, Caitlin Clark, Lexi Hull, and Kelsey Mitchell to step up game after game. Now they've brought in experienced veterans who understand what it takes to compete and win at the highest level, something Boston clearly values, given her championship roots at South Carolina.
We've brought in, and who is still here. I think what really helps us and excites us the most is that we win. We win a lot. Coming from winning programs just in general, and being able to put this together, I think it's going to be super exciting. Like every time we get on the court and we're practicing or if we're playing pickup, we're like, I can't wait to get the season started. Like we are going to just play so well.
What stood out most was how much Boston's tone has changed. Last season, she often spoke about the team's future potential and how they might become contenders one day. Now her mindset is centered on results. It's a subtle but powerful shift. She's not just wishing for the Fever to succeed anymore, she believes they will. That's a major change in attitude for a team that spent years stuck in rebuild mode. Interview Boston specifically pointed out how much more versatile the offense will be with the updated roster. There are so many different looks we can throw out there, she said, clearly energized by the possibilities. Last season, the Fever often looked predictable. When defenses focused on Clark, Boston, or Mitchell, the team had trouble finding reliable scoring options. But with these new additions, that problem might finally be behind them.
Being able to have so many different options on the floor, anyone coming off the bench, just being ready to be that heavy hitter and make an impact.
Yeah, deep team, right?
Yes.
Too, it feels like no lineup.
The most surprising moment in Boston's interview was her use of the word formidable to describe what the Fever can become. That's a word she never used last season, not even during their playoff run. It shows a major shift in mindset. This team isn't just aiming to compete anymore. They want to dominate. We want to win every single night, Boston stressed again and again. The focus is no longer on growth or development. It's all about winning, plain and simple. This shift also reflects Boston's growth as a leader. She's no longer content with close games or moral victories. She's now demanding real results from herself and her teammates.
How excited are you for the Fever just this season and as far as your team is concerned, but just to carry that momentum forward as people continue to realize how high level women's basketball is, women's sports are, and just the excitement around this season and the WNBA in general?
Dana Bonner shared similar thoughts, pointing out that the team is now dangerous from every part of the court. With Boston dominating inside, Clark's shooting on the outside, and several new scoring options, opposing coaches will have a tough time building a game plan against this Fever squad. While Boston's excitement about the roster upgrades was obvious, her most telling remarks came when she spoke about the coaching change. The way her whole attitude shifted while talking about Stephanie White, especially compared to how she spoke of her previous coach, says a lot about how the players truly feel about this upgrade on the sidelines.
Yeah, we're gonna ride the momentum. We're gonna ride the wave. I think there's no way you don't. You know, there's so much eyes, there's so much energy, there's so much attention. It's like every time you step on that floor, you want to play your best because you know there's so many people watching. And it's not just for you; it's for the little kids that continue to dream of being where you are and be like, oh my gosh, they're my favorite players. And the fans that continue to watch, it's like you want to continue to show them, like, listen, we come out here, we compete not just for ourselves, but for you guys because you guys pour so much attention, so much love on this Fever squad, and so we just have to be ready to compete every single day.
Dana Bonner shared similar thoughts, emphasizing how the team can now be a threat at every level of the game. With Boston dominating in the post, Clark's ability on the perimeter, and multiple scoring options throughout the roster, opposing coaches will likely have a tough time trying to game plan against this Fever team. While Boston was clearly thrilled about the new player additions, her most telling comments came when she discussed the coaching change. The way her whole demeanor shifted when talking about Stephanie White, compared to her former coach, says everything about how the players feel about this upgrade on the sidelines.
The newness of this season, and it feels like it's kind of hitting a crescendo, right, as we are only a month away. But head coach Stephanie White, new to town, not really new to town, new maybe for you, but what has that relationship been like in kind of the Stephanie White regime here going?
Boston couldn't stop praising White's communication skills, and this stands out. We have a coach at the helm who knows how to adjust, right? Boston said, clearly excited. Communication was one of the biggest criticisms from fans and analysts about Christie Sides last season. Remember those timeouts when players looked confused about their assignments? Or the late-game situations where the team seemed to lack direction? Boston's focus on White's strong communication suggests that these issues won't be a problem moving forward.
I think Steph has just done a great job ever since she got the job of just communicating. I remember within the first few weeks that she had the job, we were watching film about how she wanted me to be able to play, what she thinks of the team, what she wants our goal to be once the season starts, where we want to end. And I think for me that's super important because even though it feels like I've been in the league for quite some time, you know, this is only my third year, and being able to learn from a coach that you've been able to see, especially being able to play against her and seeing the way that she coaches, the way
The tactical side of coaching also seems to matter a lot to Boston. She specifically remembered playing against White's Sun team, pointing out how White's in-game adjustments caused serious issues for the Fever. When we played against Connecticut's Steph, her adjustments, the way she started the game, they always brought something new to the table, Boston explained. This is basketball player code for saying we were outcoached in those matchups.
Right, in the first round last season. What did you take away from going up against her? That maybe you're like, oh great, she's on my side now and we can use this to our advantage.
Yeah, when we played against Connecticut, Steph, I mean, her adjustments, the way she started off the game, I remember there were times where we were playing and I was like, did they mean to do this? And then you come back again the second possession and they really did mean to do that. And it's something that we didn't think about, and coming in, it's like, okay, well, now we have to.
You could see Boston's body language change entirely when she talked about how White will help them adjust against other talented teams. She sat up, straighter. Her gestures became more animated and her voice grew more confident. It's the kind of reaction you get from someone who feels they've found a solution to a long-standing problem.
When for her, it's like, we've already played you guys 3-4 times, now we're going to the playoffs, and they still bring something new to the table. So to be on that side, it's super exciting because I think, once again, we have so much talent on our squad. We're going to be going up against all these teams that in the offseason also made adjustments, also have just great, talented, flat-out hoopers. So it's like, okay, now we come out, we have to be ready to compete, but we also know that, listen, if things aren't going our way, then we have a coach at the helm who knows how to adjust.
Boston managed to highlight exactly what was missing last season from Coach Christie Sides by emphasizing how valuable White's communication and tactical adjustments will be. she's effectively pointing out what the team lacked. Think about those games last season, where the Fever failed to counter opponents' defensive adjustments against Clark, or, when they couldn't, find answers for defensive breakdowns. Boston's comments suggest she believes White would have navigated those situations differently. For Boston, having White on their side now represents a major competitive upgrade. Last season, Boston often looked frustrated when the team failed to make necessary adjustments. Now she sees White's strategic mind as an asset, rather than something they have to overcome as opponents.
What was Steph's message just in her first team meeting?
Unity. I think that was the biggest thing. You know, we talked about it earlier, even in this, is the outside noise. And so for her, it's about sticking together, making sure that we are a tight unit, that nothing can poke holes in between what we have going, because that's one way to go down. And we don't.
This coaching change resonates so deeply with Boston because it connects to her championship mentality from South Carolina under Don Staley. Boston experienced elite coaching that maximized player talents through clear communication and tactical brilliance. White's WNBA championship experience as a coach mirrors what Boston values from her college days with these new players. And now a coach Boston clearly believes in the Fever's identity seems to be transforming before our eyes. No longer content to be the young team with potential, Boston sees a squad ready to become legitimate contenders. The days of the Fever being considered underdogs appear to be ending, and Boston couldn't be more ready for this new chapter.
Just by how we operate with each other off the court, how we are on the court, I think being able to be selfless is another thing that we talked about in the team meetings, like giving up a good shot for a great shot. And I think that's just super important, because when you get in games, you know, you never know when your number is going to be called to hit that big shot, and being able to trust each other to be able to do it is going to be important.
There's something different about Aliyah Boston this offseason when she discusses the Fever's upcoming season. She's not talking about development or potential anymore. She's talking about winning, period. This is a complete identity shift for a team that spent years rebuilding, and Boston knows it.
There's so much talent on this team. There's so much excitement revolving around this. The new additions, the core, you, Caitlin, Kelsey, getting Kelsey back. That's obviously huge for this group. What is it, you know, you kind of were the hunters last year. You were young, you were exciting, and really ended the season on a high note. Do you feel that transition, or is it too early to say that you're maybe the hunted at this point? Is there still a lot to prove with this group? What's the goal going in? What do you want to see, the expectations, everything like that, with all the talent that you keep?
That simple statement reveals everything about how the Fevers see themselves. Now they're no longer happy just to compete. They expect to win. This is the mindset of a contender, not an underdog.
I think our expectations to win. That is it, flat out. I think every single time we play, every time we step on the floor, people are going to want to beat the Fever. And I know last year it didn't start off that way for us, but as you said, halfway through the season, that switch was flipped. And it was like you didn't want to see us on your schedule. And I think we're going to take that momentum going.
The most fascinating part of this transformation is watching Boston embrace the target that comes with it. Last year, the Fever could sneak up on teams this year. Opponents will circle Indiana on their calendars, especially with the upgraded roster and coaching staff. Boston seems to relish this new reality rather than shy away from it when discussing the team's returning core. Boston emphasized the importance of continuity alongside their new additions. We have Kelsey, Caitlin, myself, and Lexi and DD. That's all coming back. These names: Mitchell, Hull, Boston, Clark, and Dantas formed the foundation that showed flashes of brilliance last season. Now with reinforcements arriving, Boston sees a complete team taking shape.
I'm excited. I think having a fresh start, in a sense, has been really great for us. I think just being able to practice and work out the way that we have been, I think it really shows what we're capable of, and so I'm excited to get.
What's particularly telling is Boston's awareness of the increased spotlight. She specifically mentioned the need to protect our locker room and don't let outside noise get in. This reveals her understanding that with Caitlin Clark, with new expectations, comes a level of attention the franchise hasn't experienced in years. Managing that attention while staying focused on winning presents a new challenge.
I'm going to be keeping this the main thing. For us, it's about winning, making sure that we continue to protect our locker room and don't let outside noise get in. And I think last year was a great start to that. And to be able to do it this year, I feel like we already...
Boston also highlighted her personal adjustment to playing with Clark's up-tempo style. I feel like one of the biggest things in that area was just getting to know and getting to play with Caitlin. This willingness to adapt her own game. Boston sees a complete team taking shape. I'm excited. I think having a fresh start, in a sense, has been really great for us. I think just being able to watch shows Boston's commitment to team success over individual comfort, exactly the attitude a team needs when transitioning from rebuilder to contender.
By how we operate with each other off the court, how we are on the court, I think being able to be selfless is another thing that we talked about in the team meetings, like giving up a good shot for a great shot. And I think that's just super important because when you get in games, you never know when your number is going to be called to hit that big shot, and being able to trust each other to be able to do it is going to be important for us.
The most revealing comment about the Fever's new identity came when Boston explained how opponents will view them. Everyone's going to come out and know that it's not just going to be a cakewalk. It's not just going to be anything where they just don't have to prepare in a sense where it's going to be like, okay, we know they have killers from every angle. And so how do we stop that? Right? That's not how teams talk about rebuilding squads. That's how they describe threats. Boston also connects the Fever's rise to women's basketball's broader momentum. We're going to ride the momentum, we're going to ride the wave, she explained, understanding that the Fever aren't just improving in isolation. They're part of a larger movement. With the All-Star game coming to Indianapolis, Boston sees another opportunity. All of this points to Boston's personal growth matching the team's evolution, which makes her third-year development all the more intriguing to watch.
One of the biggest things in that area was just getting to know and getting to play with Caitlin. I think Caitlin plays such a fast-paced game, and for me, I feel like the year before that, it wasn't as fast, and then coming in kind of having that same expectation of the way that we played the year before, and then coming in and Caitlin loves to play really fast, so I think that was definitely the adjustment. But I mean, I think knowing that and having that mindset just helped in the offseason because I know exactly where I need to be.
While Boston is excited about the team's transformation, she's equally focused on her own growth entering year 3. The mental side of her game has undergone a massive shift, largely thanks to her participation in Unrivaled. This experience wasn't just about showcasing her talents, it fundamentally changed how she approaches basketball.
Only the WNBA at large, but the All-Star game, I feel like so many eyes were on it last season.
I think it's going to be, the energy is going to be so much higher because it's an indie. I feel like I say this every time about the fans that support women's basketball, that support sports in general, the attention that the Fever has been getting. I think no one wants to pass up a chance to see all the best athletes playing against each other in the same place. Sometimes it's hard for other people to be able to travel and catch other games of their favorite players, but to have it right here in your backyard.
Boston openly discussed the confidence boost she gained, allowing her to trust her abilities in a way she hadn't before. You can see this evolution when watching her recent games compared to her rookie season. The hesitation is gone. She's not second-guessing shots or passing up opportunities. There's a certainty to her movements that wasn't consistently there before.
For you, and you mentioned it feels like, I don't know which it feels like. You've been in the league for a while, or it's still only just 3 years, right? You've been a star. You've really had success in your young career. Where have you seen the most growth going into year 3? Do the off seasons get more valuable as you go forward in your career, like on and off the court? Where have you experienced
this mental growth comes at the perfect time for a player who must balance dual roles. Boston is simultaneously a developing young star and a team leader carrying championship expectations. That's an incredibly difficult tightrope to walk. Too much focus on personal development can seem selfish. Too much focus on leadership can stunt individual growth. Boston seems to have found that balance. Her conversations with Dana Evans highlight another aspect of Boston's evolution. Evans told Boston that her play would be super important for the team's success rather than shrinking from that responsibility. Boston embraces it. She understands her role as the anchor in the paint, while Clark controls the perimeter. This partnership gives the Fever a devastating, inside-outside threat that few teams can match in her.
I definitely think mentally, I've experienced the most growth being able to play in Unrivaled. I think has just boosted my confidence a little bit, not really second guessing myself on shots that I know I can make, and just being confident and knowing like it's okay if you miss one, you can still take the next one with the same level of confidence. And so that's kind of my mindset going into the season, is just continue to be confident and trust my game because of the work and effort that I put in.
Boston's excitement about sold-out crowds reveals her understanding of how fan energy impacts on-court performance. She doesn't see passionate fans as pressure. She sees them as fuel. This perspective will prove valuable as expectations rise and scrutiny intensifies for the Fever. The most significant growth in Boston's game, her mental consistency. She's developed the confidence to trust her abilities even through struggles. Every player faces shooting, slumps, and tough matchups, but Boston's new mentality allows her to remain effective even when things aren't going perfectly. That reliability is what separates good players from great ones.
Yeah, I feel like it's always been the same. For me, it's about being who I am, not changing who I am. And I think people are able to just, I attract just that great energy, I think, and not bragging on myself. But I feel like just because the way that I approach everyone, I always want to make sure everyone's smiling. And I feel like when that's your approach, make sure that everyone's good. It's so easy to build that relationship because you just get comfortable with each other really.
Boston's connection to Indianapolis extends beyond basketball. Her comments about the team's promotional film at the Madam Walker Theater show. She's embracing the city's culture and history. She stated, "I'm just going to be ready to be a part of it. Every change that comes, I'll be ready, and I'll be excited for it." This community connection matters for a franchise looking to rebuild its identity. Boston's personal evolution mirrors the Fever's transformation perfectly. Both entered the league with tremendous potential, but faced growing pains. Now both appear ready to take a massive leap forward from developing prospects to legitimate forces in the WNBA.
Aliyah, I saw that the team made a promotional film at Madam Walker Theater on Indiana Avenue. What's that mean in terms of significance with the Fever aligning with that historic site?
Yeah, I think it's special. Not only like you think of everyone that support the Fever, but being able to tie in that to a historic site like that, I think is super special. And it just once again shows the bond that between sports and women's sports and the whole city of Indiana is really capable.
What we've seen from Aliyah Boston's interview is a team standing at the edge of something potentially special. The improvements in talent, coaching, and most importantly confidence have transformed the Fever from a rebuilding squad to one with legitimate playoff aspirations. The way Boston talks about winning isn't speculative anymore. It's expected when she says they want to win every single game. You know, the mentality has changed completely with Clark's vision, Hull's shooting, Mitchell's scoring, Boston's interior presence, White's tactical knowledge, and the championship experience from the new additions. This Fever team isn't just building for tomorrow, they're coming for today. If you're excited, then comment A, B, and CC down below, like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.